Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be all of my June 2021 anticipated book releases. I do have a list of about 10 or so book releases here, and just looking at them, a quick overview. June is my birthday month and a lot of these are dealing with a lot of tropes and a lot of genres that I really enjoy. So I feel like those are some pretty good omens. I feel like we have some pretty good books that are coming out in the month of June. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. If I missed any of your June anticipated releases, definitely let me know in the comments down below, as well as I will be leaving all of the books in the description bar with their publication dates in order. So if you miss me talking about it in this video, just check the description bar down below. I'll have all of that information for you, but let's just go ahead and get started. So the first book on my radar is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nghi. This comes out June 1st by Tor, and this is a Great Gatsby retelling. 2021 is the year that Great Gatsby entered into the public domain, so we've actually seen quite a few books inspired by or just retellings of the Great Gatsby. This one in particular really calls out to me because it is following Jordan Baker, who was Daisy's friend and a side character that we didn't really get to see too much of in the original Great Gatsby, but definitely a character that I feel like piques a lot of people's interest. I feel like that'll make for a really cool, very different adaptation, because this is definitely taking one character that we might not have gotten enough of in the Great Gatsby and kind of giving her a story and a life of her own. Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer, Asian, adopted, and treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, while the most important doors remain closed to her. Nghi's debut novel reinvents this classic of the American canon as a coming-of-age story full of magic, mystery, and glittering access, and introduces a major new literary voice. With those added lenses to the story, I'm very interested in reading this. The Great Gatsby was one of my favorite books that I did read in high school for required reading, and I just feel like with good adaptations or retellings or even stories inspired by other stories, it's really neat to get like not just a retelling, but some different aspects thrown in there, making the story and the characters that we know fresh. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. The next book on my radar is The Library of the Dead, Edinburgh Nights #1 by T.L. Huchu, and this comes out June 1st, also by Tor. This book is marketed as Sixth Sense meets Stranger Things, and that's all I need to know going into this. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I kind of saw that and immediately clicked want to read. Now those two things, I will say I love both of them. I think Sixth Sense is a very good movie, just a fun classic. And then Stranger Things is also a really fun TV show. They have very different vibes, so I don't know how this will combine them, but I do love both of them. So while they are a weird assortment of comp titles, I am interested and I do like both of them. So we'll have to see. This is a contemporary fantasy that follows a cynical teen as she explores the shadowy, magical underside of modern Edinburgh. Our main character's name is Ropa, and when a child goes missing, she'll need to call on Zimbabwean magic as well as her Scottish pragmatism to hunt down clues. So our protagonist dropped out of school to become a ghost hunter. This is the first book in a series which honestly I'm very much looking forward to. I've just really been into urban fantasy this year. I've discovered a new love for that subgenre this year, so this sounds really exciting. I love ghosts, I love paranormal things mixed in with a really cool city setting. I think this is going to be very ghost huntery and a whole lot of fun. The next book on my radar is Daughter of Sparta. Daughter of Sparta book #1 by Claire M. Andrews, and this comes out June 8th by Jimmy Patterson Books. That's James Patterson's imprint for young adult books, I believe. So this is about 17-year-old Daphne, who has spent her entire life honing her body and mind into that of a warrior, hoping to be accepted by the unyielding people of ancient Sparta. But an unexpected encounter with the goddess Artemis, who holds Daphne's brother's fate in her hands, upends the life she's worked so hard to build. 9 mysterious items have been stolen from Mount Olympus, and if Daphne cannot find them, the gods' waning powers will fade away, the mortal world would descend into chaos, and her brother's life will be forfeit. So this is taking classic Greek myths of Daphne and Apollo, and it's turning traditionally male-dominated mythology into more of female-led mythology, which I love those tropes tropes, love those themes. Looking forward to that. This book also apparently has enemies to lovers to enemies, which is a trope that is very underutilized and sounds very, very effective. Honestly, I really love mythology. I was always really into mythology as a kid. Unfortunately, the Percy Jackson series came out a little bit too late for me to really appreciate them. I was a little too old for the series, so I never really got on to the Percy Jackson wave. And this just really sounds like that sort of same adventure story with Greek mythology, although this isn't present day, it's actually taking place when the original mythology takes place. But nevertheless, this sounds really cool. It's the beginning of a series. I really love a good Greek mythology retelling, and yeah, the cover looks awesome. This just looks really cool. The next book on my radar is Girls at the Edge of the World, and this is a part of an untitled series, the first book in an untitled series. The author is Brooke Robson, and this comes out June 8th by Dial Books. So this is apparently fantasy romance. I don't know whether or not it'll be like a romance in a fantasy setting or a fantasy that is heavy on the romance elements. Those are definitely two different things, but this is sapphic. At least I'm going to guess from the cover. It looks very sapphic to me. And this is set in a world bound for an epic flood where only a chosen few are guaranteed safe passage into the new world once the waters recede. So we're following two main characters. They're both trying to get this safe passage. It looks like there might be some sort of contest element, either that or one of the main characters is just a part of some sort of performing troupe. Looks intriguing. I do really, really love the cover. All of those colors really, really speak to me. I love my pinks and purples and blues all together. I've also discovered that I do love the occasional good fantasy romance book this year. So I don't know if this is young adult or adult. We will have to see. There's not a lot of ratings or buzz for this book right now, so I don't know whether or not it's young adult, or if it's fantasy romance or romance fantasy. Either way, I'm excited about it. Next up, we have the Jasmine Throne, Burning Kingdoms, book number 1 by Tasha Suri. This comes out June 10th by Orbit Books. This is the start of a new trilogy set in a world inspired by the history and epics of India, in which a captive princess and a maidservant in possession of forbidden magic become unlikely allies on a dark journey to save their empire from the princess's traitor brother. This book obviously hasn't come out yet, but from early reviews I've seen if you like the City of Brass or the Poppy War series, you're going to love this one. It is also sapphic and it is highly inspired by epics of India, so all of those sound really, really cool. I've heard that this is a really solid start to a very politically based, multi-point of view fantasy story. Those are all things that I love. I have a feeling that this is going to be a series, just like the Poppy War series, that people just cannot get enough of. I have a really good feeling about this trilogy. Next up, we have my only non-fiction pick of the month, which I know, crazy. I don't normally have nonfiction books on my radar for right when they release, but I did read another book by this author earlier on this year, absolutely loved it. So when I heard this was coming out, I definitely wanted to check it out as soon as possible, and that is going to be Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. This comes out June 15th by Harper Wave. So this is a nonfiction book that analyzes the social science of cult influence, how cultish groups from Jonestown and Scientology to Soul Cycle and social media gurus use language as the ultimate form of power. Incisive and darkly funny, this enrapturing take on the curious social science of power and belief will make you hear the fanatical language of cultish everywhere. I'm very excited to pick this one up. Again, I did read Word Slut by Amanda Montell earlier this year as an audiobook. Really enjoyed that experience. I think she did a really good job of including the science and the research alongside of just like a book that's very entertaining. I feel like some nonfiction books, you get so bogged down in just the research and the science and the evidence, obviously all important things, but sometimes they can read more like textbooks, whereas I feel like Amanda Montell was really able to create captivating and entertaining books while still being informative. So I am very much looking forward to checking this one out, you know, not only dealing with traditional cults, which are very interesting to me as a true crime fanatic, but also newer things or things we might not consider as cults, like they mentioned Soul Cycle or just also social media influencers. The next book on my radar is The Maidens by Michaelides, and this comes out June 15th by Celadon Books. and this is a thriller that has dark academia aspects to it. It takes place at a school. I've already heard from people who have gotten ARC copies of this that this is absolutely wonderful. I did read The Silent Patient by this author and I thought it was okay. I definitely am very, very hit or miss when it comes to thrillers, so I enjoyed it enough to give this a try, and this sounds like it would be a thriller that's a lot more up my alley. But this is involving teachers and a secret society at Cambridge University, female students known as the Maidens, so it sounds like it's going to have a thriller pace, but then dark academia staples like secret societies, murders, sinister things going on. I'm definitely interested in checking this out because I do love dark academia, and I am very interested to see how a slower paced story like that would work in a thriller setting with a thriller writer writing it. So I'm looking forward to checking out this second book by the author and seeing if I enjoy it more than the first. And then last but certainly not least in my anticipated releases for June is going to be Gearbreakers by Zoe, Hana, Mikuta, and this comes out June 29th by Fywell and Friends. And this is for fans of Pacific Rim, Pierce Brown's Red Rising saga, and Marie Lu's Legend series. It's got found family, enemies to lovers, it is sapphic, and it almost looks like the synopsis that it's dealing with a sort of Transformers sort of deal. Like, I can't tell if this is fantasy or heavy sci-fi. Either way, it looks really, really cool. The cover is cool. I also follow this author on TikTok and I found her randomly in my For You page. She's doing such a good job hyping up this project that I am very excited to check it out. It sounds like it has a lot of tropes that I would really enjoy. So it's following two girls on opposite sides of a war who discover they're fighting for a common purpose and falling for each other. Gearbreakers is an absolute joyride of a story set in a vivid, arresting world. It's sci-fi at its very finest, combining the grandeur of mecha fighting machines with the intimacy of a splendidly feral found family. It sounds absolutely amazing. Sign me up. So there you have it, friends. Those are some of the books that I am looking forward to coming out in June of 2021. Definitely let me know down below which ones you're most excited for, as well as if I missed any books that are on your radar. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe for more content from me. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!